Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com. Bringing you another fly time video today. This time it's a pretty cool looking nymph pattern, check nymph style pattern, Caddis, and it's an easy one to tie. It's really easy to tie. I was riding around at work today on a reach truck and was thinking about this fly and how to come up with a new fly, and I saw these gloves at work the other day. They're just food service gloves or medical gloves. They're green though. It's a really cool looking color of green. So if you find one, pick it up. I brought one of these home, one of the used ones home, and started trimming off some strips. And I trimmed off about an 1/8" strip here. You can see that I just cut off of it. And this is what we're going to use for the body. So what we're going to start out with is a size 12, 3/16 fire hole hook. And the bead we're using on it is a black nickel bead. This one's 5/32. It's actually maybe just a hair big. You could go a little smaller without problem, but I like to weight them down. And I'm going to put some lead on this to hold the bead in place and sink it a little faster too. And we're just going to put about 10 or so wraps on there. And then we're going to shove it up inside that bead. Okay, and that'll hold the bead in place and weight it down for us. Now for thread, I'm just using some 140 denier cream thread and trying my hardest not to nick the thread with the point of that hook, because that hook is sharp. And we'll just trim that off there. And then what I'm going to do is build a taper up here over top of this lead. I don't want to put too much body on top of the lead. I want to smoothly wrap this thread back about that far. You can see where I'm at in the hook. About a third of the way through the bend, I would say, would be about the best description. And then I want to come up here and just make a smooth transition from really thin to match the lead there. Next thing we're going to put on is some ultra wire. This one's the brassy size chenille. Going to use 3-4 inches of it about. Just going to trim that off. Anytime you trim off with your scissors, always use the inside of the scissors. Always cut way down deep in here. That way you won't dull your scissors up as quickly. And then we're just going to wrap this on the ultra wire. And I usually try to wrap it on the bottom. That way it doesn't show up. If if your body material is real thin, it won't show up through this vinyl glove or whatever kind of glove it is. And there we go. We'll just build it out nice and smooth there. Now I'm going to take this green latex. That's what we're looking for. This strip of green latex here. And we're going to lay it down on top. And we're going to cover it up with our thread. And this is what's going to make the body of this fly. Okay, and I'm pulling a little taunt there, tighten it up a little bit to make it a little smaller. And then we're just going to wrap this up to the bead. And then I'm going to put a quick little half hitch on here just to hold my bead in place. I mean, that thread in place, because I'm going to use my rotary vise here just to make it quicker. And we're just going to pull that up there, making sure I get it all covered up with this latex glove. And missed a spot. We'll go back and hit it there. Okay, got it all covered up. And then we're just going to tie that off. Now that we got that tied off there, we're just going to counter wrap with our ultra wire. And just going to segment this nice and evenly up there, trying to keep it evenly spaced. And I'm going to pull it pretty tight. And what I want to try to do is sink that wire down into that latex a little bit, so it gives it a segmented body look, not just where it's, I don't want that wire to be raised. I don't want it to look like the wire is the segment. I want the latex to look like the segment, like there's a hump in the latex. And then we'll just helicopter that wire off. And now we're ready to put the thorax on this fly. And I'm just going to turn this into vise there just a little bit to stand it up a little better. And for the thorax on this, I'm going to use a little trick that we learned in our last video from Jack Fields. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a CDC feather. This is a brown olive CDC feather from Nature Spirit here. And really like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingers and I'm just going to peel these back, make them stand up, like you see. And the next thing I'm going to do, well, that's pretty hard to see there. There, you can see them in that angle. I got them all standing up straight off the stem of the feather there. Then I'm just going to lay that down on my bench. I'm going to get from my case of fur here, I'm just going to pick out some fox squirrel fur or any kind of squirrel fur. I like it because as you can see, it's really spiky, but this is a little too thick. So I'm going to take and I'm going to pull these apart just a little bit and spread this out. And I'm going to spread it out to the length of that fiber that I just laid down, or the length of the feather, the CDC feather. And I'm going to lay it on top of that CDC feather. And what it'll do is it's going to make a really buggy, hold this up here in front of the camera. It's going to make a really buggy blend of CDC and fur. Okay, now I don't have the magic tool like Jack does. I have a Stone faux clip, and this is the poor man's version, but it works just as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my feather with the squirrel on it, and I'm just going to clamp it down in the Stone faux clip. Okay, there you can see how I clamped it in there, and how the stem of that feather is right above the perpendicular to the clip here. Okay, and I try to keep it, like Jack says, I want to try to keep it towards the end of my clip. And I want to trap both the squirrel and the CDC in there. And now you see how I have it up there just about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut right along that stem. So I'll trim this up. Okay. And there you have it all trimmed off nice and even. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a dubbing loop. I'm going to take my dubbing loop tool here, and all I'm going to do is circle it around there, clip it onto my line, and then I'm going to put it on the collar of this fly. Okay. And there you can see we made a nice loop in there. And we're going to take this loop, and then we're just going to take the edge of the fibers that are closest, you see, that are closest to the clip. We're going to slide it right down in that loop, and we're going to unclamp it. Oops. We're going to slide her back down in that loop, unclamp it, and then we're just going to spin these on here. Okay, and this makes a nice, really nice fuzzy collar with a nice mixture of squirrel and CDC. Okay, now we're just going to wrap that collar on. And while I'm wrapping, I'm peeling these fibers towards the back of the fly. And once I get it wrapped the whole way up there, we're just going to trap down our thread. And all we need to trap it down is about 3 wraps or so. Cut this off. Okay, we'll tease all these back, make sure we get them down. Now I'm going to take, and I am going to whip finish this off right now. And I'm just going to add a little collar on here. I want a little bit different color on this fly. I want a hot spot. But I'm going to use a chartreuse hot spot. I'm just going to use some Vivas thread. This is a 10-aught Vivas thread. I'm just going to put enough on there that you see that there's the chartreuse hot spot there. Okay, get a couple wraps on there. and then we'll whip finish it. And that'll be all that's to this fly. So it's a really simple fly. Guarantee you this one's going to catch fish. It's the right color, the right size. Just, it's what fish like. And that's all that's to it. Real simple. It only took me a couple minutes to tie. And I could have tied it a lot quicker if I wasn't talking. CDC fibers, if they're a little long, it's always a little better to trim them back with your fingers than cut them, because it'll make more natural, make a more natural look. They'll come out different lengths. If you tear them with your fingers, they'll come out a little bit different length than if you cut them off with the scissors. So there it is, really easy to tie. Give it a try. I know you're going to like it. I know it's going to catch fish for you. And like I said, try different colors. Come up with, if you have a latex glove that's just a plastic one, I mean just a clear white one, put different color thread underneath it. Experiment it. That's what's fun about fly tying, all the experimenting. So give it a try. Thanks for watching. Please take the time to visit our website at holsingersflyshop.com. We're back up and running now. The shop will be open really, really soon. We're just finishing the final touches on it and restocking it. So if you're in the area and you want to stop in and see the shop here, it'll be open real soon. Give us a call and make sure we're open. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Sean Holsinger, and I'll see you next time.